It is said that we learn from the past, live in the present, and to plan for the future. Rather, yesterday becomes history, and tomorrow will never be ours, which remains a mystery. And the least we can do to the present generation is to write our story, laying a strong foundation to the voyage of innovation, navigating the future with a focus on the private sector role in India's 2047 vision and government support. I deem it an honor and proud privilege to moderate this session and would like to welcome Shri Unmesh Sharad Wagh, Chairman, Jawaharlal Nehru Port Authority. Welcome, sir. Shri P.L. Harnath, Chairman, Paradip Port. Welcome, sir. Srimati J.P. Iron Cynthia, Managing Director, Amraj Port. Ms. Arati Narayanan, C. the Vice President, Women in Shipping and Trade Association India, VISTA, and Director of ABS Marine Services, Chennai, and would like to mention to you that they will be taking to you a little bit on the 11 key themes that have been laid out in the Amrit Kal vision. In this panel discussion, we will navigate on some key issues taking into India's position in the 2024 Review of Maritime Transport published by UNCTAD. Maritime transport serves as the main artery of global trade. So it's basically maritime transport and global trade that is the focus. It cannot be denied that shipping is the biggest industry in the world. From naval architects, classification societies, ship finance, bankers, to shipbuilding yards, manning institutions, shipping markets, insurance, ports, canals, dry docks, to recycling of ships, which we all provide as a service industry. UNCTAD 2024 Maritime Review states India ranks 19 with 1900 vessels, rather 0.8% share of world total deadweight, with our growth at 1.6% in deadweight. In world fleet ownership, by capacity in deadweight and flag registration, we have 1,275 vessels and rank at the 16th position. And world commercial value as of 1st January, India ranked 21st with a percentage share value of 1.2% of world statistics. Now, the silver lining is that of yesterday's news clip that was carried in the business line. That is the Shipping Corporation of India moving forward with the buying of a 9,000 TEU vessel and also the acquisition of 5 chartering vessels. So that is a good step in the right direction. Hence, please fasten your seatbelts while I'll navigate you to this session to take India to a brighter, prosperous nation for the next generation. And with this, may I take the privilege of placing the first question to our esteemed panelist, Ms. Arati Narayanan, from the ship owning perspective. Ma'am, the opportunities for the next generation that shipping can provide in the maritime services sector on the way ahead, if we have to have London, Singapore maritime clusters as benchmarks right from the shipbuilding stage to the ship recycling stages. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone present here. I would like to thank the week for having me here this afternoon. Thank you, Captain Menezes, for talking about the ship owning perspective. To begin with, I'd like to say that India's maritime history dated back to 3000 BC, and Lucknow was the first dry dock port that was ever built. However, colonization brought about a downturn, and post-independence, we are yet to regain the glorious stature that we had before. Modern shipbuilding was in Europe. It's now moved from Japan, Korea, and now in China. From a shipowning perspective, it is capital intensive, we all know that. Currently, owners face certain issues like age restrictions, green fuels, and raising capital to invest in future-ready vessels. Currently, shipbuilding is at its highest cost, and government support is required to incentivize the shipowner. To build a future-ready vessel, we have to consider the various alternate fuels that are being considered. Much of R&D has gone into it, whether it would be methanol, hydrogen, ammonia, hybrid, or batteries. Which of these would be accepted, whether one or all of them? Hence, it's difficult to invest in a fuel system which meets IMO and national goals. While subsidies are provided to shipyards, such incentives and subsidies are not provided to the ship owners. Here I'd like to draw your attention to China, which provides 17% subsidies to Chinese ship owners to build in Chinese yards. They also give low-cost preferential loans to foreign buyers in Chinese yards. Ship finance is a pain point. Indian banks provide only 5 to 6 years high-interest loans. They insist on collaterals apart from the ship. Incentives such as low-interest loans, longer repayment periods of 10 to 15 years, and a moratorium during the period of construction would be a good initiative. The Indian shipbuilding and ship repairs has been given the infrastructure status. However, shipping has not been given this status. If it is given this status, it will ensure long-term, low-cost funding and refinancing. Ship repair is expensive. Indian facilities that offer low-cost repairs are few and far between. Drawing on a personal experience, we have a vast offshore sector in Mumbai, but the congestion in Mumbai port has made executing ship repairs very challenging. Further, other yards close to Mumbai have various restrictions such as draft and higher cost. To scale to Kochi for repairs is not commercially feasible as we lose charter hire. Therefore, ship repair clusters are thus needed to augment this critical aspect. Ship owners are looking for alternate shipyard destinations. They want to avoid the over-reliance on China and the demographic challenges of Japan and Korea. India could and make use of this opportunity. The initiatives mentioned in the Maritime Amritkal Vision 2047 are laudable. These are welcome. The Maritime Development Fund in particular, here I'd like to emphasize, is a good initiative. It's in the right direction. It provides for long-term, low-cost finance for the ship owners. However, setting up of this fund and the modalities and the disbursements must be expedited. It must be free of bureaucratic hurdles to enhance the shipowning sector. Coming to the second part of the question, to compete with London and Singapore maritime centers, India, to be a maritime center, has to streamline regulations, simplify procedures, reduce bureaucratic hurdles, provide infrastructure development. They have to offer tax structures, subsidies and incentives, and forge partnerships with various global maritime centers. Apart from this, I think Captain Menezes had mentioned about the opportunities for the Gen Next. I think there are abundant opportunities for the generation next in this maritime sector, as shipping reforms are expected to generate significant employment opportunities to strengthen India's maritime capabilities within cruise, shipbuilding and ship repair industries. Therefore, there will be a huge job creation and requirement of a skilled workforce. Thank you, sir, for that.
Thank you, Ms. Narayanan. And I would like to stress upon the point that she mentioned about ship owning going into the infrastructure segment, as well as the ship repairs having tax concessions. And well, we would love to have the GIFT City as a next maritime cluster with a couple of the financial segments coming over that particular area. We move on, and I would like to place this particular question to Srimati Irene Cynthia of the Indian Administrative Service and the Chairman, the Managing Director of Kamraj Port. Ma'am, the Ambedkar Vision also focuses on the Sustainable Development Goals even in 2030 as well as for 2047. What, in your opinion, would you look at gender equality or bringing in Nari Shakti from your experiences as district magistrate in Madhya Pradesh districts and now as chairperson? And what message would you like to convey to all the women folk of this country to bring in gender equality in the disciplines of the maritime industry? And the second particular question that I would like to pose more as your experience in the port, if you have to visit Jaipur port, what is the change that will be brought about for the future of the Indian global trade?
Thank you, Captain. Good afternoon, everybody. Going by the first question, I am currently the Managing Director of Kamarajar Port, and incidentally for the last 16 years I am also an IAS officer. The first posting that I got was as Assistant Collector in Patna, and we were to do the election polling got completed. We are supposed to do the counting. So I moved into the counting area. Many of you must have known or at least heard in the newspapers. The counting area is fully, barricaded. Only the officers and the staff who are directly involved in the counting are allowed inside. Even the rest are all, they have a barricading system, and then the rest of the public and political representatives, etc., they have to be outside. So I stepped into the, polling campus, and I realized out of the 300 odd crowd that were inside, I was the only lady. Forget officer, forget staff, I was the only lady inside. And as all things go, you always have a small downside in it. I didn't have a toilet. That went with it, So, why am I drawing this parallel here today? When we step into the maritime sector, we also realize, at least I realized, that the number of women in the sector are extremely low. If you look at the global scenario, it is 1.2%. India is slightly better at 2% of the total seafaring community in India. But the scenario is not very good. Even out of the 1.2%, if you look at very closely, 94% are women who are in passenger ships. So, can we exactly, categorize them as core crew? I don't know. Given this scenario, there is one, I should say, light in the darkness is the number of women cadets who are getting into IMU and other maritime institutes. It's about 6 to 7% in India, 8% worldwide. So that means in the near future, this 2% that we are looking at will grow to about 6 to 7%, and in future it is bound to grow more. Just one small number, in the last 2 years in India, in 2021, I think we were about somewhere around 3,000 registered ratings and officers. In 23, we have about 4,500 to 4,700 registered ratings and officers. Now, this itself shows that in a period of 2 years, we have been able to have a 50% growth in women in the maritime sector. Given this, what are the challenges and how can we go about it? The first thing that when I look at the sector is the realization that many people, or I should say most of the people, do not know about this sector. It's a very opaque sector. I come from the IAS. If you ask me about any policy that is getting implemented in the state, in the center, I'll be able to tell you at least something about it. But if you were to ask me about the maritime sector 1.5 years before, I would know nothing about it. So it's such an opaque sector. So to create awareness, we should do a huge marketing campaign. Many of us would have seen the Chennai air show about a month before. About 10 lakh people were there in the grounds of Marina Beach, fully crowded. After the air show, the first observation by my husband was, I'm telling you, at least 1,000 kids who were standing out there would have told themselves that I will get into the Air Force. That kind of a conviction, that kind of inspiration has to come, and that kind of a campaign has to be done by the government as well as by the private sector. Both have to go hand in hand. Second is what generally is to be done but not getting done is the career counseling part. When the students are in 12th standard, when the kids are in college, I think that is where we should catch them young and say, see, this is a huge sector that is available, well paid and technically very sound, provides you with a lot of challenges. Now that pitching has to be done at the school and college level through lots of career counseling systems. Now this, I think, will actually drive up the numbers that will enter this sector. Again, recruitment mandate. Recently in government-run shipping companies, we have this recruitment mandate, but I would also be very happy if the same mandate is taken up by private sector. So one example which, again, we were discussing today is VOC Port. It launched its container terminal very recently, and it was very happy to see that 40% of the staff employed in the terminal are all women, and they are looking at increasing the percentage. So this kind of a recruitment mandate has to come, and it can not be just the government. You cannot always have 33% reservation everywhere. It has to come from the private sector also. The most important point, I think, which if you go to a family and say, please send your daughter for on-board shipping career, is the safety concern. We know ships are huge, but the numbers who man them are very small, 30, 40. That is the number we are looking at. So with this, the first concern for any mother, father is the safety of the girl who enters the sector. So when you are looking at, safe ecosystem, again going back to the counting duty that I had done, subsequently I have seen lots of collectors and officers doing what we call the pink counting booths. I think you must have also heard or read in the newspapers. So what did they do? They said, okay, we want to involve women in the counting booths or even in the polling booths, which Tamil Nadu, of course, traditionally has always had women in the polling booths. But in places like MP, what they did was, let us put a whole booth fully engaged with women, from the PO to the last person. There is always some kind of a mental strength that comes out of numbers. So when you put a whole women polling booth or a whole women counting table, it gives up that kind of a mental strength to be there. So for a start, because now we are in the initial nascent stage, for a start, I think we should increase the numbers. So today, again, with my husband, we were just using the word pink ships. I don't know how else to put it. If you can have ships crewed with women, at least 40%, 50%, any number, and you say, okay, this is the crew who is going to man this ship, and if you can have more and more number of ships, this is only a starting point. We don't always have to, positively be partial towards women. But for a start, I think this can actually help. More and more women will be able to enter the sector with confidence, with a safe ecosystem. Again, we need to have policies in place, anti-harassment policies, very stringent, very practical. Again, the other issue is the equal pay. Though we always, in government at least, we know that there is equal pay for sure. But this equal pay also has to extend to all other areas. Along with this, mentors and leaders. In Chennai port, along with Kamarajar port, we had the Nari Shakti event in the last, I think in September. What was very interesting in the event was we had invited 3 women leaders from the maritime industry. Today again I met Captain Tina Joy. She is with JM Bakshi. It was very high, I felt very happy meeting her. Then we had invited Sonali Banerjee, a number person. What was very interesting to watch was IMU women cadets had also come in large numbers for the event. So when these 3 women spoke, we could see how the women cadets, young, they were able to relate directly with them. They got inspired. The moment the program got ended, they were all surrounded, like celebrities. They were the celebrities there actually. So this kind of having mentors, models, leaders in the field being projected, I think this will inspire more and more women to come into this sector. Again, having Ms. Aarti here, professional networks. Because what we have come to realize, even in the private sector, glass ceilings do exist. Whether we accept it, we don't accept it, doesn't matter. Having a professional network helps handholding, helps guidance, helps counseling, most importantly to voice out at the right time on right issues. These professional networks, of course we know the power of LinkedIn, best example out there. So these professional networks will build what maybe even the government can't build. So these are all some ideas and suggestions which have been captured in our MAKB 2047 document also. But I think these are areas where we should work a little more. In October 2023, Government of India came up with a very nice circular guideline for medical evaluation of transgender people for admission to maritime courses. Now this kind of gender inclusive perspective, that is what we are looking at. Now these kind of policies, these rules, slowly bring into the system the kind of positivity and movement we are looking at. Obviously, the most important point is perspective change. Won't happen in a day, but I think the process has already begun, and gradually we will have more women in the maritime sector. The captain had said 2047, I will say no. The way we are growing, maybe another 10 years max. We should be a huge part of that system. Thank you.
I would like to mention to you, she mentioned about the census part. In 2016, the Madhya Pradesh government awarded Madam Cynthia with the award on outstanding work done on census. Congratulations. During the elections, yes. And she mentioned about the awareness. She also mentioned about the career guidance as well as the recruitment drives. And I would like to congratulate on this particular part Riyad Matthew for bringing in this particular conclave. And I am very sure that the Week magazine will bring in the maritime awareness for gender equality and gender sensitiveness, as Madam has mentioned. And for the paucity of time, we have to earn our lunch. I would quickly move on to one of the architects who has been instrumental in bringing out the maritime vision of 2030 as well as 2047. I would like to place this question to Shri Unmesh Sharad Wagji, of the Indian Revenue Service. Sir, as a Senior Administrative Officer, Government of India, what is your viewpoint on the news article, Government Munds Shipping Firm to Surging Global Trade? Basically, this article was brought about by the Reuters in June 2024, wherein a fleet of 1,000 ships to be added in the next decade in order to reduce trade outgoings to foreign firms by at least a third by 2047, which is expected to touch 400 billion. So, those of you who know the statement given by the Director General of FIEO, that our freight bill last year was $86 billion alone, out of which 75 was paid to the foreign lines. And the previous speakers have also mentioned that our container freight bills are also close to touching 90 to 95% because lack of Indian bottoms and tonnage. So with this particular part, with the Maritime Development Fund, which is going to be almost $300 billion, could you enlighten to us that where will be the role of the private sector in this type of a ambitious project which is going to be earmarked soon? Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Very good afternoon. Before taking your question, Cynthia spoke with conviction about the women participation in maritime sector. I think former SCI chairperson, madam is here, and one crew, all women cruise ship was on one Women's Day, and she was instrumental in that. And from JNPA they started their voyage. So I mean this happened. Thank you, ma'am, and she was there for that. So I thought I would like to just remind all of you. In JNPA we have more than 20% women in our workforce, and 4 out of 8 head of department, 4 are women. So before going to this question, I thought I would like to share that. I mean, ma'am is there. So thank you, ma'am, for that great opportunity to JNPA. Now, one more thing. I mean, Dhruv is also here, and the private participation is very much there. So the one sector where there is no involvement of women workforce, that is in tractor trailer, driver as a tractor trailer of containers. But now in JNPA we started with the electrical tractor trailers, and they are very easy to maneuver. So now we are also planning to have women participation in that, and it is up to Dhruv now that he should recruit more women in that also. So now moving back to my question, I don't want to dodge that question. I just thought I would inform these things to you. As my minister also in the morning and our secretary also said this in the morning, that, and also Dhruv spoke about it, and chairman Chennai port also said this thing, that in all the future endeavors and in all the future projects, the role of private sector is very much important. During your opening remarks, you said that there is a less than 0.6% tonnage contribution of India in global shipping industry, and 93% of EXIM cargo is carried by the foreign flags. So if you take any shipping company of top 10 shipping company, each shipping company has more vessels than India put together. So we are lacking in this particular field, and it is the right time that we should enter into it. We missed that opportunity in the past. So will it continue like that? No. Because the world situation has given us an opportunity that our players should enter into this field now, and that opportunity is the sustainability which is mandated for the shipping sector. So now all the shipping companies, whether they are big or small, they are converting their existing fleet into the green shipping. So this is an opportunity that we should take and enter into this field with green shipping, so that whatever we have lost in the past, we will gain in future. That is one thing. So this is the time that private players and also SCI, they are doing their bit, that they should enter and take lead in world shipping industry. Ma'am gave the wish list, what is required, so that Indian players will come in this particular sector. And in the morning also, Honorable Minister spoke about the legal framework which is conducive for the shipping industry. Some laws are already enacted, some are in pipeline, and they will be enacted in this session. And that was also one of the mandate of the government. The second and most important thing is regarding the finance. Definitely the International Financial Services Center Authority, which is in the GIFT City, they are doing their bit in this particular aspect. Then there are some alternate financial arrangements, the pension funds, viability gap funds, and also the ministry is also giving a thought that there should be some fund for the ship building. Now in sustainability, because the green tug and other, the chairman Cochin shipyard is here, and I think he is full for next few years, because all Indian ports are going for the green transition in terms of tugs. So this kind of initiatives and Make in India initiative will make a lot of opportunity available for the private player, and they should grab this opportunity so that we will be a leading player in this particular sector also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us that the private sector has to move into green shipping, and there are opportunities. And I would like to take you now to the field of logistics, last mile connectivity in this part. And I would like to place this question to Shri P.L. Harnath, sir, from the Indian Railway Traffic Service and Chairman of Paradip Port. Recently, just about 10 days ago, on the 22nd of October, Bihar town, close to Patna, Bihar, got its first dry port and inland container depot. Considering Amrit Kal 2047 vision to promote maritime clusters, can you enlighten to us the creation of industrial and commodity clusters in landlocked states by private entrepreneurs, in view that this ICD will be a one-stop solution for EXIM trade, promoting employment in the logistics sector? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Captain John. Good afternoon to all of you. So, you're justly speaking about the north coastal part of the country. So, by 2047, the north coastal part, which comprises the West Bengal and Orissa, is going to have about 1 billion ton capacity, port capacity of cargo handling. We have, in fact, Paradip Port itself is expanding to 500 million capacity by 2047. We got a study done. The hinterland of this north coastal part not only extends to, apart from the West Bengal and Orissa, to Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh and Bihar also, and eastern part of UP also. There is a cargo potential of about 700 to 800 million tons. So by 2047, because these are the areas where more than 75% of coal is produced in India, more than 70% of iron ore is produced, and more than 80% of bauxite is produced. Steel industry is flourishing. I think Orissa itself by 2035 will produce 100 million tons of steel. Aluminum industry is there, food grains, pharma products, and then sponge iron, as well as the aqua products. A huge potential exists. Now with the creation of the port capacity, and there is simultaneously the potential for the cargo movement exists. Now the question is how to bring this cargo to the ports for export or for import, and in a least possible time. So the most critical factors in the transportation is, one is the time and second one is the cost. I will just say one example, that there is a huge cargo container potential in and around Paradip Port. 2 lakh TEUs exist cargo just 200 km radius around the Paradip. But this cargo, this container cargo is going to other states, either to the Visakhapatnam or in the north to Haldia or Kolkata, and they are spending, each industry, for example, General Stainless industry spends about 25 to 30 crores every year. The Vedanta spends about 40 crores every year additional logistic cost because the facility doesn't exist at Paradip as on date for container movement. So the most important thing is we have to create an ecosystem where the logistic cost is brought down, where the nearest port to the hinterland will be able to take care of, cater the export or import requirements of the particular commodities. So coming to the dry ports, we all know that the dry ports are the places like inland container depots or multimodal logistic parks. They can put whatever name we can give it. They serve connectivity with the railways, roadways, waterways. They are basically intermediate points for the seaports, where the cargo can be aggregated, where the banking services will be there, insurance will be there, customs will be there, and then unitization of the cargo will be there, aggregation of cargo will be there. All these services will be provided at one place, and which will reduce the logistic cost in time and ensure that so they will be delivered whether for export purposes or to the industries where it is an import on timely basis, just in time arrival. So nowadays the most important thing is when these dry ports are created, when the seaports are there, connectivity between the dry ports and the seaports also is equally important. So today we have a railway connectivity, we have road connectivity, which is not important, which is not adequate. So we are trying to upgrade in the entire eastern part, especially we have an MP, I think 4-5 dry ports are there in Bihar, the first dry port has come. Raipur there is a dry port. In Orissa itself 2 to 3 dry ports are there. But these dry ports as on date are not adequately connected to the seaports on the east coast which are closer to them. So as a result, what is happening is they are going to faraway ports and causing the high logistic cost. As a result, their exports are becoming incompetitive and in the global market. So the need of the hour is to expand the capacity of these connectivities between the dry ports and the seaports so that they will be able to serve the customers at the least possible cost. The Sagarmala program, which has been initiated in 2015, has done wonders in expanding the capacity of the ports. Now the second such program which has been started by the government of India is the Gati Shakti program. It is going to do the same miracle what it has done for the port. Now it is going to do for the port connectivity part also. So the port connectivity projects have been identified, whether it's a road project, a rail project, or a waterway project. They have been prioritized, the funds are getting allocated, they are being implemented on a timely basis, and you know the Gati Shakti, how fast it will be, the process can be done. So these are the things the government is already working on that, and as a result, so finally the exporter or importer will be able to take care of their cargo, take their cargo, whether it's for export purposes or import purposes in time at the least possible cost. So there thus the dry ports will play a vital role in Indian economy, especially the exempt maritime trade of the country. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Point very well taken. I mean, that we got to have connectivity, and one part of the session says government support. I think perhaps we will have to bring to the government that to have favorable policies for connectivity from the landlocked states to Paradip port. Thank you so much. Thank you all.